Welcome to the Freight Agent Insider Podcast, hosted by Levi Van Pay.
All right, let's do this. We're back. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here at Freight Agent Insider at the studio right now. I'm absolutely cooking because it's hot out. My AC went, but we're going to run this thing. And if I end up I'm already like losing layers here. If you're watching, I'm down to my short shorts, socks, t-shirt. If this turns into Ace Ventura, where he's spying on the bad guys from the mechanical rhino, and I'm just offing everything. That's what we got happening today. But before we introduce our guest today, just some quick show notes for everybody. Guys, I hope you are looking forward to, or at least tuning into, the Freight Agent Expo that's happening in Las Vegas, January 15th and 16th. Actually, the guest we have today, he is going to be attending as a speaker. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll talk a little bit about that with this guest. But if you're interested and you want to buy a ticket, go to fax27.com. You can see the list of guests that are attending and get your room reserved, book your flight. Let's do it. And as always, guys, we really appreciate you listening in from wherever you're listening, on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. But if you could pause the show, go like, subscribe, signals to the algorithm that we don't suck. Really helps us out. That's all I got for you guys. Let's dive in. We're running it back for part 2. Will Hopkins. Mr. Hopkins, how are you today, man?
Man, I'm good. Sounds like I'm doing better than you. I'm in the AC. Can't complain. Our internet did go down off the squad for about an hour this morning, and it was like different but similar, right? Like sometimes those things just happen and it sucks. But disclaimer: if you mention shedding more layers, you don't have much more to go. So if you start shedding anything else, I'm probably gonna head out on my end. But yeah, no, I'm glad to be back on, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I think the last time we did this, you just mentioned it before we started the show. The first time we had you on was in the old, can't even call it a studio. It was my office, and it's a little bit different this time around.
Yeah, it's slick. I didn't know what was happening when I joined. I was like, man, he's in like a legit studio. So yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, look out, Tim Dooner. I'm coming up in the world.
Man, what's Dooner up to these days? Is he still kind of waiting things out, or is he doing a new show, or do you know?
Yeah, I reached out to him a couple weeks ago because I want to do like a mixer with him, because he's got the Nooner with Dooner show that he's starting. I'm still not privy to exactly what that's going to be, but I'm like, yeah, let's do something together. But irregardless, man, I'm really excited for that, because I followed him on X for a long time. I've liked his content. He's the man. And is he down in your neck of the woods, Will? I forget.
He's in Chattanooga. So, I mean, Chattanooga's 2.5 hours from us. So pretty close, but not the same spot.
Over in Freight Alley. That's right.
Yeah. Freight Alley.
So the last time we had you on, Will, I mean, we kind of ran through some basics about it. To this day, your episode that we had is I think it's top 5 most popular. I think you're a pretty enigmatic guy, and a lot of people follow you. So it's always cool to get your side of things. And the cool thing that I tell everybody about, if you are interested in joining the show, it allows people in our circle, and even people from outside of our circles, people that are kind of trickling in, especially from the TikTok world, that are, first getting introduced to the freight space, who don't know the guests that are on the show. It gives you an opportunity to kind of tell your story, allow people to get to know you better. And I think your story particularly resonates with a lot of younger people, because you are a young guy and you're so successful doing this already. But all that to say, man, for the people that haven't, seen the first episode that we ran together, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what you're doing now, all the fun.
Yeah, well, first, man, I appreciate the kind words. You know, I realized we were top 5. I figured people were probably getting tired of hearing me speak at this point. I feel like I've done a lot of podcasts recently, but the Freight Agent Insiders got to be one of my favorite. Got the studio and everything, so it's legit, man. It's been cool to follow along what you're doing, so it's been
Appreciate it.
great. And then yeah, so if anybody listening, if you don't know who I am or what I do, my name's Will Hopkins. I'm one of the founders of Black Box Logistics. It's a freight brokerage based out of Birmingham, Alabama. We got our start on the agency model and then kind of tracking off that business under our own MC, going on 7 years in business. And yeah, I mean, that's the quick macro overview.
What's going on with the Mike Vick shirt in the back? People
Man.
always the people that tuned into the episode, they're like, what is with that? So what is what is the story there?
Man, the best part is before I even get into Mike Vick, I've got a really wholesome wall here. So I've got Mike Vick, I've got John Daly, and then I've got a Mike Tyson signed glove right there. So
Badass.
it's three just, I don't know if I should call them degenerates on the podcast, but just three characters.
Total degenerates.
Yeah, man, it wasn't intentional. And like the wall has become quite polarizing, right? Because I mean, it's Michael Vick and the dogfighting and everything. But man, me growing up, like Michael Vick was one of my favorite players. So, like the first running mobile quarterback, he was just that dude. But my gym had a silent auction. When they were setting up, I was in there working out and they had a minimum bid for all the items. And I thought, yeah, I'll place the minimum bid on 10, 15 things. Other people are going to bid, and if I get any the minimum bid, it's a win. Well, it turns out, man, nobody else really placed any bid. So I've got a ton of sports memorabilia, and it was when they awarded it, it was 2-3 weeks after it happened, right? And I forgot about it. So I got a call. Like, hey, is this Will Hopkins? They're like, yeah, congratulations. You won, like 8 jerseys, a box of all this stuff. And yeah, I ran out of space, not space, but like where to put it. And I just thought, hey, I'll bring some into the office. So yeah, it's an interesting wall.
It's an interesting wall, and everybody kind of knows exactly, like when like I saw Serena posted a photo on LinkedIn and she was like, guess where I'm at, or something like that. And I saw the jersey. I didn't see a Will Hopkins, but I saw the jersey. I was like, I know exactly where you are.
Yeah, well, Serena invaded my office while I was gone. She trespassed, and I don't want to stretch things, but she kind of vandalized our headquarters. She left a toy duck on my desk. Nothing crazy. She just left a toy duck in a note. But yeah, I was outside. I guess she was in Birmingham for some kind of concert, and my GM had messaged me on Slack. He's like, hey, like there's 3 women looking for you, and like they're upset or something. I responded, I was like, oh, man, who could it be? But then no, it was just Serena. But yeah, everybody at the office was super confused. A handful are on LinkedIn and kind of understand the whole history of, I guess, where the duck comes from. I had her on my podcast, which I no longer do. And she's got all these farm animals, right? And I guess some ducks had just given birth to, do you call them ducklings? Baby ducks? Whatever.
Yeah.
But she's going after our show, Big Dog, because the podcast was 2 Dogs, 1 Pod, which also ironic, Michael Vick, and then like the whole dog thing.
Right, right.
DAWG is a corporate weapon. DOG's, like the 4-legged pet. So it's semantics, but it's a little bit different. But anyway, Serena and I kind of have a running joke that, I don't know, like we're estranged and that she won't let me see my son. So she keeps asking child support and stuff. I don't know. It's an odd bit that we've had going for a while. And yeah, she invaded the office and left a threatening note on my desk. So it's
an odd bit, but it's like, I've wondered, I'm glad I got that story, because I've wondered that for the longest time, because I always see like Will's child, like it's a picture of a duck. It's like, here's our child. What's going on?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's the only time I get to see him. It's like through LinkedIn when she posts something out. I don't, no visitation rights or anything. It's crazy.
So are you a Falcons fan, NFL fan with the jersey, or is it specifically because of it was basically free?
Yeah, man, I wouldn't call it basically free. So the thing is, like when you have the minimum bid on quite a few items, like it adds up because it's a lot of items. But it was a good,
Right.
it was, no, I'm actually a Saints fan. which is also ironic. But Saints are no good. So, but yeah, I was a fan of Michael Vick. Like I remember playing the GameCube before we had Xboxes and stuff, and I would always
Madden '04.
yeah, exactly, and just, like, running around with Mike Vick, so, no, I mean, and I'm a fan of him. He served his time, and he's kind of rehabilitated, everything he had going on. He's got some good charity foundations to address that, so, I don't know, I stand behind the jersey, but, yeah, every now and then somebody will walk in like, "Mike Vick, like, you're a piece of shit." Like, "Well, it's just a
Well,
jersey."
you're a dog guy too, so it does none of that really tracks. Like, but yeah, Mike Vick back in those days was like, I remember Madden '04 on the GameCube, and he was just a cheat code. Like, it wasn't even fair to play against the Falcons because it doesn't matter who the running back was or who the receivers were. He just like rolls back, scrambles left, and he's gone.
Yeah, man, and it was also he was the first of his kind. Like, nowadays, we have quite a few quarterbacks that kinda fit that archetype, like, maybe they're not the same exact, but Lamar Jackson, Patrick, like, these mobile quarterbacks, it's so Jalen Hurts is very common, but when Vic did it, he was kind of the OG. So I'll always have some respect for him.
Yeah, it was like McNabb. Was it McNabb that kind of like he was kind of maybe what you could call the first, but he wasn't even really that mobile, but he had
Yeah,
that ability. But Vic changed the game. And
yeah.
I'm sure everybody watching this is like, "Oh, nice, a break from freight talk for a little while." And it's kind of funny because I joke about this, like the industry, we're all ingrained in it, right? Everybody watching it is probably in the industry already. We talk about freight, but then I'll joke about like the most popular clips that we have from the show on TikTok are always something that's completely unrelated to freight. Like the most popular clip is I forget who I was talking. Oh, Connor Miller. We were talking about Papa John's stock price. That's the most popular clip. It had nothing to do with freight. We were just talking about stocks. So
Yeah.
never a bad thing to like deviate a little bit.
Yeah, and even kind of, man, this isn't the right word, but it's the word that comes to mind, like humanize, like what we do with freight logistics. A lot of it, I mean, yes, it's freight and logistics. Most of us are working in AC. Aside from the drivers, like it can be
Not
tough, but
me.
it's yeah, exact, not you. But for the most part, like it's man, it could be worse, right? And it's
Yeah.
sometimes it gets stressful, hectic, and you're bogged down with the emails and stuff. But man, like the people on the other side of the email, like they're people. They have interests, likes, cares, all that good stuff. So it's good to kind of get away from it every now and then. Like with my customers, I like to joke and bring stuff up, like, when things are bad. It makes it lighter.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like humanizing what we do and like adding a little bit of color to it, I think is really important. And, we've talked about this in the show in the past where there's been customers that do find the show on TikTok specifically. It seems like it always is, but there's customers that like, whether it's a broker, a brokerage owner, an agent, they like whoever they watch and they're like, oh, I like that person. And there's been like 3 or 4 instances where customers have reached out to those people and those people come back to me and like, hey, I got a customer just from being on the show. So there's like an aspect of branding and your personality being that brand that I think can actually help people, with the business side of things.
Yeah, I would take it a step further. So, um, like LinkedIn and all that, we talk about branding or even social selling. What I think a lot of people get wrong, um, well, I'll even go as far to be pretty adamant, like, I know they get it wrong. With all this advertising or truly trying to social sell, like, a lot of people fall into this generic kind of, "We care about our customers, like, we do good work," and it just doesn't it's just so, like, middle of the line on basic, you can't differentiate it from anybody else, and it's,
Yeah.
man, especially LinkedIn, like, I have gotten quite a few customers or it's done some good things for our business, and really, I think it's a cause of, being a little bit different, and by different, just being yourself. I mean, that's the only way to really stand out, I think, because if you're pretending to be something else, you're pretending to be somebody else. Somebody else is probably doing that. The only unique thing is truly yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I kind of just went in a circle. Um,
No, it makes perfect sense, man. And like I'll layer that a little bit with like the recruiting space, which I'm pretty heavily ingrained in. I had a post teed up today. I didn't post it actually, but I probably will at some point. But it was talking about if I ran a freight agent program, I wouldn't hire any agent recruiters. Period. What I would do is, and so I didn't post this because I'm like, I probably lose my job because this is actually a pretty cool idea. But if it was me, like our buddy John Rogers, right, will like I think he's already caught on to this because I don't know for sure, but I think he's already doing this where he's getting paid to do some recruiting. He's what's commonly referred to as a 360 recruiter. Like he's living, breathing the agent life, but then also advocating for and selling the brokerage that he's working for and getting paid for it. So what I would do is completely weaponize my agents and just pay them exactly what recruiters get paid minus the salary. They'd make more. They wouldn't leave because they're making more, and you're also saving money on the salary side of the recruiters. So all of that to say, there's a lot of power on social media for branding for what we do.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. To even take it a step further, I guess this is like the business owner coming out of me, but if you attached it to like their commissions, you attached it with kind of the caveat that it's only applicable if they're with your company. So like, okay, you recruit these 5 people, like you can't leave another. Yeah, you'd be good. Um, but yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, and surely John's doing really well because he has to be as much as he posts about it. I feel like every post is about his agent life, so like, surely he'd be compensated for it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The you're you came from the agent side, Will. You're not an agent now. Black Box is, I mean, it's a beast of its own, or of your own rather. What is the difference between Black Box and some of the other brokerages out there? Like you guys, I know one key is you guys don't have agents, right?
Yeah, we don't. Well, we have one agent, but he's our first employee ever. It's a good friend of mine that I grew up with. We don't recruit agents. We have a lot of people um, around the industry. I get a lot of messages here. When is Black Box going to do an agent program? Probably never.
Yeah.
And so I was going to say that's what's on my mind while you're talking about the recruiting. We do a lot of like offshore carrier sales kind of support positions, and we do it the way that you're talking about it, referrals. So I mean, we're finding people with close to a decade of experience that are plug and play.
Mm.
And it's our current staffers, like their friends that, man, there's so many people in Ukraine, Serbia, Poland, that are, man, good. So I don't want to get off too far off track, but offshoring gets a bad rep because people will
Yep.
hire people without experience and then they associate it with that. But man, a lot of our people offshore are killers. I mean, like just as good, if not better. I mean, really, I'd say some of our best reps are offshore. So you asked what makes this different. There's quite a few ways I go about this, but I do want to touch on that because it's become a very important piece of our team's division is if and when we need to scale, volume picks up, I can go get somebody plug
Mm-hmm.
and play with a decade of experience, bring them on. I don't have this 6 month runtime bringing in somebody green or overpaying in the US. So it's been that's been really helpful for us as we grow. But man, we're primarily open deck. And a lot of brokers it seem are not, right? Like they're van refrigerated. We're 70% like flatbed step deck, RGN hot shots oversized. Our average revenue per load is probably substantially higher than the majority of brokerages. Last month it was hovering around 2,800 per load, and that includes LTL, which is
Wow.
going to mess that average up a lot. But I would say that most brokerages are going to be somewhere around like 1,900, 2,000. So the freight that we handle is usually more expensive. Not that the
Yeah.
complexity is, but like the way it moves, right? Like a steel plate that's 160 inches wide is going to be very expensive. We do a lot of that.
I gotta get Roger Skekik back on the show. He's an overseas agent himself. I think he's doing like he texted me like 2 weeks ago. He's like doing like 200K a month or something like that. And
Yeah.
he came on the show one time and it was kind of this. He kind of had the same thing that you just said. Like really bad rep that they get, but they are the good ones, the ones that know what they're doing, like they are buttoned up, they're dialed in. So yeah, definitely a bad rep. And on the side of the brokerage, not having an agent program, probably ever will. I remember, I think it was Ken Adamo said after the Montgomery ruling came out, he's like, the biggest question mark that I have, or one of the biggest question marks that he had, was the agent model and, what would happen in light of the Montgomery thing. And, it really, like, I am the director of an agent program. I'm still like, no idea, because it's just a massive question mark. And the thing with Black Box is, like, you have that full control over every single lever versus agent programs. Agents are pulling on levers all day, every day. They're booking trucks, they're doing whatever. So to that, like, do you see Black Box, or I guess like brokerages in general that don't do agents, do you think that that's probably a better situation to be in versus agent programs?
I think that you could make the argument that it is, but really and truly, I don't think that it makes that much of a difference. So, I mean, even from a compliance standpoint, as the owner or whoever management, you can put guardrails in place and sure, like people can go around them. But for the most part, if you really want the visibility, like, you can get it. So for
Right.
us, it's more so about not concerns about, say, the Montgomery ruling or somebody trying to load an unsafe carrier. Like we're just you're not gonna be able to add them in our system. Like even W-2, like we kind of have that. I mean, because yeah, like most of us are physically here, but we do have offshore and they're operating pretty much on an island aside from their cross communication via Slack or whatnot. So it's the same kind of situation. If somebody wanted to load a bad carrier, they're just not going to be able to. But for us, it's more about how we operate and conduct business and treat people. So with an agent, right, you might get somebody who's pretty brash or hard headed, and they're not really your employee, and they want to take a hard stance. And it's like, I don't want
Right.
to man, we're already busy enough. We got too much going on. We care too much about our reputation, both with customers and carriers. That, like, I'm not looking to just bump revenue. Like, we could go sign a bunch of agents and like post and like, oh, like we got this crazy run rate or we done this and that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not that's not like a slight at anybody that's pushing that. It's just not what we want to do, not what we've envisioned. And I don't want to say like never say never. We might have some agents down the road possibly, but we're going to be like very picky. Most likely we're not going to be recruiting. We're going to be, I mean, we're going to have to be pretty sure about them. For us, it's a big leap. And I think it's a little bit different because, at least for being us, like my partners, we started this out of a living room. So it's kind of our baby, right? Like if we had an agent that was doing all that, like it just wouldn't work out well. Like, I don't think that we would handle it well. I don't think that, um, it's just don't want those problems. Pandora's box, like I just don't want the issues that come with it.
And I think you're absolutely right too. Like, I think back on the number, it's been numerous, whether it's a carrier or a W-2 brokerage. These are people that, like, leadership of these places that have either reached out directly to me, that started their own agent program because they wanted to cash in on this whole agent craze that's happened over the last, whatever. It's really taken off since COVID.
Yeah.
Or agents that have been at these places that did fire up programs, and within 6 months are like, I need to get out of here because they just weren't. It's this, like, you've been on both sides. It is not the same thing to be an employee uh of a brokerage versus being an agent of a brokerage, because you're on an island. There's all these different things that need to be set up for you specifically to be successful. And if they're not, you can start to resent the brokerage and blah blah blah. um and real quick, actually, well, I want to backtrack a little bit because we're talking about like this nearshore offshore stuff. Do you think that, like, have you guys looked into any type of, I hate this has become such a buzzword, but AI, like, is
Yeah.
there is there any like softwares, programs, things that you think might replace some of that human capital on the offshore side, or are you guys not of that mind where, like, you've got the people in place and you're happy with it and that's the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, so my answer's kind of in between. It's not really either or for us. It's about getting more, which a lot of people say this, I feel cheesy even repeating it, but getting more production out of our people. And
Yep.
we gotten a lot of that without vendors. So our thing is we're building in-house. So we can do order entry from text, PDFs, like building loads, AI, load response AI. So carrier emails in reference for the load. All of our postings come from the TMS. They have the reference. That's linked. So man, if I get an inbound email or really like my CAPS. CAPS is a new acronym, by the way. It's capacity of procurement. It's carrier sales.
Yep.
Because CSR, carrier sales rep, and then customer service rep are both CSR. And it became a it became a massive issue. But no, yes, we do leverage quite a bit of AI. My partner Logan has become kind of a savant with it. So he builds it out in house. So we've got like
Wow.
order entry, building loads, load responses, a lot of workflows, dashboards. Um, we're using a lot of it, but it's not with the intent or goal to say like I want to replace like this section of my company, but it's like, okay, if load volume picks up, how can we get them to still handle it without breaking
Yeah.
the, man, we always want, I'm kind of stealing this too from somebody and they're probably going to see it. I'm going to do it anyway. With like our teams and our freight, we always want to be on the brink of breaking the dam, right? So like, we want everybody to be like slightly overextended, uh, like at their capacity, right? Like we want them all to be active, have things going on. And what I think a lot of people ran into post COVID was adding heads quickly and not really looking at load per rep. And then it kind of
Right.
sync off. So then when it sinks off, it's like, man, I got like these whatever 10 to 15 bodies I got to get rid of. So for us, it's more about protecting the organization as a whole. And when I say the organization as a whole, I don't just mean bottom line, but when we onboard people, we want them to, man, we don't want to let people go if it's not performance related. Like we don't want to bring people on and say we
Right.
overstep or we don't have the business. So that's kind of I don't want to say like a chess mindset, but it is kind of like a long-term mindset of balancing that. And AI is kind of, it gives you a larger, the way I see it, it gives you a larger room for error on that with the staffing. So no, it's been cool. Again, Logan's the AI guy. I don't know. I barely turn on a computer, but he can build it out and stuff. Got to use it. So it's cool.
Breaking the band. That's I you know it's funny because I wanted to ask you about like let's actually get into some important stuff here while we've got some time. But like as an example, we had Ben Ham on recently. I'm fairly certain the guy is the biggest freight agent in America. He's big and he focuses on flatbed, and I'm fairly certain he's a genius too. I think his IQ is like 140 something. All that to say, his secret sauce was not being a good salesman, which he is a very good salesman. It was his ability to scale the business through putting different pieces in place. And you talk about chess, and I think he'd probably kick my ass in chess. And I love chess. I love it. It's very strategic. So I want to ask you, Will, can you remind us, first of all, how old are you?
I'm 27.
So you're 27 years old and you're running a brokerage that's how big?
Uh, I don't know, man. We'll do somewhere between like 70 and 80 this year. It's picking up month over month, so it's kind of tough to say. But if we went off of,
It ain't a small potato.
yeah, we'll do somewhere between like 60 and 80, I think. If we went off last month, it'll be around like 85, 90. So we'll see.
So point of that is, and the reason I ask is, you obviously are doing something right. How do you scale a business? And this is completely applicable to freight agents as well, who, like, I see this all the time. Freight agent that's doing 50, 60K a month, and they've done a great job of scaling their book. But being a great freight agent or great salesperson doesn't automatically mean you're a great business owner or business leader that knows how to take your business to the next level. So you're 27 years old and you've done that very, very well. So it's a very long thing that I'm bringing full circle here. What is the secret to scaling the business? And this is probably not a very simple answer, but if you could offer some tips in that regard.
Yeah. So disclaimer before I get into it, I've done it with a tribe, right? So I've got two great partners, some really talented people, a part of the organization. So it's not just me. Like I'm the most outspoken on LinkedIn. I have a big following. So think oftentimes maybe people associate like, oh, this 27-year-old doing all this, but like really and truly, man, it takes an army, a village, and I've got some really good people that I work with. Takes a lot of trial and error. We haven't done everything right, and we haven't been perfect from inception. So a lot of how we see things and how we do things has changed, and it continues to change. Which I would say is one of the biggest things is to remain open minded and kind of always challenge what we're doing. Is it working well? Is it not working well? Um, what do we need to do differently, right? To kind of evolve, especially the landscape the last I don't know, man, 6 years it's just been volatile, like, it's been different, which, of course, man, I don't know, that's one of those makes me think of one of those, cheesy things I see a lot. It's like, in these what man, people talk about, like, the times, like, being different, like, the first times, like, every time is different, like, every
Right.
whatever, unprecedented, or, like, in these unprecedented times or whatnot, it's all different, but going back to Ben Ham, good friend of mine, he came down to Birmingham once and we spoke, and he kind of challenged the way that I see or think about building out a company. So from inception, we were really big on building brokers, and we still do. We bring in green hires and kind of teach them the black box way, like A to Z logistics, all that good stuff. And he kind of said it's like a championship sports team. You get some
Hmm.
from the draft or like through the farm leagues, minor leagues, which would be kind of like building brokers, and then you get some through trades and free agent signings. I was like, damn, like that's really good, and I love like a sports metaphor, analogy, whatever. So that really clicked. But for us, I think it's been a little bit of a lot of different things, right? There's not really one thing that I would point to and say this is what separates us. I think it's kind of the mindset of kind of like a Kaizen approach. We're always looking to improve day by day. Look at things, get better, open minded. We seek advice from others around
Yep.
the industry, people who have gone before. So a whole bunch of different stuff. I don't really have like a magic formula for anybody.
Yeah, I don't think there is one. And I think so much of it too, Will, and maybe you'll agree, disagree on this. It's just like putting a foot forward and trying it, and you might fall on your face. And even if you do, you're learning something and you're learning how to not fail in the same way again. And success is just inevitably a bunch of failures stacked on top of each other.
Yeah, yeah, I would even go as far to think about it or say that it's kind of equivalent to how much bullshit you can take, um, and like keep going. Like
Yeah.
how much just yeah, man, I can't think of anything else other than bullshit, to kinda, like, take off the chin, keep going, and learn from it. So yeah, the frame is a big part, looking at whatever happens and kind of taking it out and saying, like, "Okay, like, what can we learn from this?" And sometimes there's nothing, man. Sometimes bad things just happen, right? And
Yeah.
uh it's not like there was anything where we could be like, "Oh, man, we made, like, a grave mistake here, and it eventually led to this." But to be introspective, about the company as a whole, that's been big. And, yeah, a lot of it's just bullshit,
And, s- and,
to
s- and
demolish
speaking
it.
of speaking of bullshit, my AC blew out. I am stuck to my leather chair right now. We're gonna wrap this one up, Will, with anybody out there listening. I always like to, when we have guys like yourself on, massive successes, you've got a big following, and you've got a big following for a reason. So leave us with some tips for especially the younger wannabe agents, or maybe some brokers that are just getting into the industry and they're following you. What are your tips or advice that you have for those individuals as we wrap up?
Yeah, my biggest tip would be, and disclaimer, I don't have it all figured out, right? Like, LinkedIn looks good or whatnot, but, like, I
Oh
also
yeah.
like we have our struggles as a company, like things that we're working on, and me as an individual, things that I could do better. But not freight exclusive in general. If there's anything that I really want to get better at, just learn as much as I can about it. And with freight, man, there's so many resources, so many things that you can look into to kind of like hone that craft, treat it like a skill where you're trying to level up each day. Little small steps. So you keep doing that, stay consistent. You look back over a long time period, and it's like, wow, come a long way. So that would be my advice. Just be a sponge, but not just a sponge, but like seek out that knowledge. And it's not all going to be good, like learn to have some agency of deciphering like what's useful, what's not useful. And then beyond, if it is freight, I mean, like learning about beyond just like the freight and logistics about the manufacturers and those companies, the more knowledge that you can have will prepare you for a lot of situations. And I think that separates you over time from your peers and your competition. Like most people aren't doing that. And you can tell after a long period of time, you can tell who's put in kind of the work in the dark, and it comes to light.
I think this is a solid wrap on part 2. What do you think, Will?
Man, I think it's solid, but you told me if I come back a second time, I'd get a nickname, and I haven't been given a nickname. And, I might,
I thought,
I don't know, man, I would be creating fake YouTube accounts, throwing you 1 stars here in the front. Dude, that's fine.
If anybody is not aware, our LinkedIn page specifically, every single guest that comes on ends with some ridiculous nickname. I was thinking of Hop Dog, but that's just kind of lame.
Oh man, yeah. Hey, look. Let's just get it figured out before, like when you drop the post, you can throw it in there. I don't want to put you on the spot and end up with a nickname like Hop Dog. I mean,
dude, I'm good for some creative nicknames. You're gonna get something that you'll remember for the rest of your days. In fact, it'll probably be on your gravestone. That's the Levi guarantee. It's gonna be a good one.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, I'll take the Levi guarantee to the bank. Yeah, thanks again for having me. I enjoyed it, man, and yeah, hope you can find somewhere with some AC, because I know that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I kept my clothes on for you, and that was specifically for you, because if it wasn't you, they wouldn't be here. But
Thanks,
I appreciate you joining, Will. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We will be back next Monday, 9 a.m. Central, for another great episode. We'll see you then.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Freight Agent Insider Podcast. Like us and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and LinkedIn